Good afternoon. I'm Anthony Sizemore, the Chief of Police for the Cape Coral Police Department. I'm here today to speak about our investigation into the disappearance of Mr. Barry James Schmalbach of Cape Coral and to provide updates on this case. Upon my appointment as Chief of Police, I made a commitment to the community, a commitment to operate with transparency, and that is today's goal. Very early on in this missing person investigation, it became clear that Mr. Schmalbach's disappearance was suspicious in nature. This results in our team investigating the missing persons case as if it were a crime. You do this and work backwards from there. Nothing in this case to this point has led us to dial back from our initial belief that this was a crime in this criminal investigation. In fact, we believe that there is foul play in the disappearance of Mr. Schmalbach. Since we are investigating this as a criminal matter, our focus in this case, as with all criminal investigations, is to conduct all operations with one singular objective in mind, and that's a successful prosecution. With that being said, I will be as open and transparent as I can be, keeping in mind that the overall objective is securing a successful prosecution in a court of law. I'll go up to the line with my remarks today, as well as answering any of your questions. If an answer would put us over that line, I'll have to decline, but I'm sure you'll understand. Mr. Schmalbach has not been heard from or seen since the evening of July 19, 2023, near the 1800 block of Beach Parkway East here in Cape Coral, near his home. Mr. Schmalbach's boyfriend called the police department on the 22nd to say that Barry was missing. The reporting party didn't give any indication that it was unusual or an exigent situation. In fact, he dialed back at the end of that call and tried to alleviate any fears that there was anything suspicious. But later in the evening, another friend of Mr. Schmalbach called and reported that they too hadn't seen or heard from Mr. Schmalbach, and they expressed great concern that this was not normal. He was reported missing on July 22nd. And very early on, because of the suspicious nature and the willful deceptive nature of that initial phone call, foul play was suspected, and our team of investigators began immediately working on this case. Since that date, multiple search warrants have been executed, numerous articles of digital and physical evidence have been gathered and are being processed as we speak, and our partners at the state attorney's office were brought on board and have been embedded with our investigators throughout. At this time, we do have a person of interest. However, I'm unable to name that person today. That's that line that I spoke of in the beginning. This morning, I met personally with the family of Mr. Schmalbach, and I brought them up to speed regarding the developments in this case. We will continue to work directly with the family and provide them as many updates continuously as we can and as they become available. Our detectives continue to actively pursue all leads and process pertinent evidence in our attempt to locate Mr. Schmalbach. As I stated, please understand we're unable to disclose certain details that could compromise our investigation and that ultimate goal of a successful prosecution, which is true justice in any case. As your Chief of Police, I want to express to our community that they are safe and that this was an isolated incident, and we do not believe there's any apparent threat to any other residents and visitors to Cape Coral. If you have any information regarding the disappearance of Mr. Schmalbach, we encourage you to please contact the Cape Coral Police Department by calling our non-emergency number, 239-574-3223. Again, that's 239-574-3223. You can submit a tip to ccpdtips, that's all one word, at capecoral.gov. Again, ccpdtips at capecoral.gov, and anonymous tips can be submitted to Crime Stoppers by calling 1-800-780-TIPS, and you may be eligible for a cash reward and remain anonymous. Please refer to the case number 23-017491. Again, 23-017491. And again, to the community at large and to the Schmalbach family, my commitment to you is to deliver our best. And our best is the team that's investigating this case. They've been working on it 24/7 since the onset. Even now, our teams are out in grueling conditions searching for Mr. Schmalbach. And I mentioned to the family this morning in my office when we chatted that if fate were to have it, that I would be sitting in their position. The team that I would want looking for my loved one and seeking justice for me is the team that we have at the Cape Coral Police Department that is working this case. And with that, I'll entertain any questions that you may have.
Do we know exactly who was driving Barry's car, the Jeep? In the police report it did say, or missing person report, it did say someone was driving his car between 7:20 and 7:22.
We do.
Where are you guys searching?
We are searching in a multi-county area. That would be up to that line, because what we don't want is we don't want people that are overly eager to help to injure the chances of evidence collection and gathering. But we are working with multiple law enforcement partners. In time, I will be able to publicly thank them for their assistance, but right now it would be a little injurious to the case.
You said Barry was last seen off of Beach Parkway. The report states that people heard from him last at the Cruiser's Bar. Can you clarify where he was last? Was it at Beach Parkway or was it at the Cruiser's?
The last information that we have is we know him to be near his home.
Why did you guys arrest Barry's boyfriend on a non-extraditable warrant?
He was a fugitive on that warrant.
Why now?
We came in contact with him and found out that he was a fugitive.
You guys had seen him before, before the arrest happened on August 1st. So how come you guys didn't make the arrest then?
Gathering information from him that was pertinent to the case. I mean, obviously you can imagine when somebody gets arrested, their willingness to cooperate and provide information dries up.
You mentioned we have someone in custody, a person of interest.
I mentioned we have a person of interest.
Can you expand on what charges they would face at this point, or what you're looking at in that regard?
I cannot.
What's been the most difficult part about this investigation?
I think this morning, dealing with the family, it's multi-layered. That's a good question. Having to talk to Barry's family who came in, and I saw his sister on another news report, I believe yesterday or the day before, where we have some really great people in our community that are out looking for Barry. And she had indicated in that interview that she was going to come down and they wanted to join the search. And it was very difficult to know that I had to have a talk with her personally to let her and other family members know that there's a little bit different developments in the case, and that was a heartbreaking conversation today. The other layer of that would be to see the anguish on our team. The attitude and, I guess, fatigue and work and willingness to keep pushing on is very reminiscent of our entire team and our entire community in the days after Ian. It's that level of go get it in adverse times, and just on a very laser focused scale, if that makes any sense. So it's difficult, it's our job, it's what we do. It doesn't make it any less difficult, but we investigate thousands of cases a year.
What's next in the investigation? Is it finding Barry? Is it bringing down charges? Is it...
It's that and other things. First and foremost, we want to find Barry. Second, parallel to this, is continue to gather evidence, continue to work with our theory that there is foul play involved, and then that successful prosecution if we get to that point. So it's parallel lines moving forward, if you will, but the key is moving forward every minute, every day, continuing to work. There's more digital technology that comes in, that gets processed, and then the results get acted upon with human beings.
Two questions also is, you mentioned the person of interest, and I know you can't elaborate too much, but is this person of interest involved in his disappearance or his suspicious potential death? I mean, where are we at with that?
That's what we believe. That's why he's a person of interest. We
Which
believe
one?
he is involved in the disappearance.
And then when it comes to tomorrow, that's the 2-week mark since Barry went missing, how important is it to kind of change maybe the way that you guys are approaching things, just because 2 weeks missing is a big thing?
I can understand why you would ask 2 weeks is a big thing. It's not a big thing to us. Day one, hour one, it was a big thing. And our focus doesn't change. Find Barry, collect and gather evidence, secure everything we need for a successful prosecution. 2 weeks is, if I remove myself from the professional side, I see that it grows and it can become or seem more ominous. But as far as what does that change for us, nothing.
Christopher Davis had told police that he last saw Barry on the 20th get into an unknown car vehicle, told a friend the same thing. Do you guys not believe that story?
I would refer back to the line that I mentioned in the beginning.
And then also, is your person of interest communicating with you guys or living cooperative throughout this investigation?
Two-part answer, yes and not throughout.
What is so challenging about this specific investigation? About the search, what sounded the alarm? Was it that initial phone call? And kind of how is this setting before in a dam for typical policing missing person searches?
What made it challenging, I think, is the initial phone call we believe was willfully deceptive. And when you don't have anything to counteract that, it puts you at a disadvantage momentarily. But then as soon as you get something or a piece of information or evidence that shows you that that's the case, immediately it becomes suspicious. And the challenge is the number one challenge I believe you asked is finding Barry.
And can you also elaborate a little bit more on the missing persons report talks about the state of the apartment, how it was odd. You mentioned that you had suspicions that this is foul play is suspected. Can you just go into detail as much as you can about why you guys believe this from the jump?
The fact that in 2023 somebody would leave willfully, peacefully, absent any cognitive impairment or obvious substance impairment without their vehicle, without their personal effects, is a little bit suspicious in and of itself. When we find out about who Barry Schmalbach is and that this unusual circumstance happened, it comes because of a phone call to us. And very early on in that phone call, it didn't add up. So that's about as elaborate as I can get to, but that's what we're trained to do. And when you see things like that, there is no hesitation. You have to jump right in. Like I said in the beginning, when there are suspicious circumstances like that, you immediately start working it very high. And then as the case unfolds, you may back down. Nothing in this case has given us any reason to back down.
Why was Davis picked up on a South Carolina warrant and not the Georgia one?
I can't answer that. That's a
One last question, Caitlin, go ahead.
Multiple counties are involved in this investigation, you mentioned. Why get multiple counties involved? Is it evidence leading you to believe that other counties should be involved in this investigation?
yes.
Is your person of interest communicating where you should search?
I will refer back to that line. You can't cross that line.
The victim's cell phone was pinging when he was writing.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you, Chief.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, sir.
Appreciate it.